Throughout history, especially the history of Hollywood, there has been a desire or even a belief that you need to appeal to the current generation, or the generation that is the up-and-coming generation, in order to get their attention. And when that comes to Gen Z, that is a bit interesting to do, given that they've grown up in the world of the internet, social media, and a lot of weird things going on throughout the world. So with that, allow us to show you the top 10 best Gen Z movies. Now, to be clear, this is about movies not just made in the late 90s and on, but ones that truly focus on Gen Z and their world. So be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel.
Just a reminder about our new giveaway. We're giving away the new iPad Pro or the new iMac Pro. The choice is yours. All you have to do is watch the full video, leave a like, comment the keyword hidden in the video, and make sure you're subscribed. It's that simple.
Number 10, The Hate U Give. This first film is honestly a very recent one, and one that is all the more poignant today. It's about a young girl named Star who sees a friend of hers killed due to racial profiling by the police. Now, if this sounds familiar, it should, because this has been happening for years, and in 2020, it sparked more protests than ever before in the wake of the murders of George Floyd and many others. In many ways, this film is the embodiment of the Black Lives Matter movement, because it beautifully and elegantly and realistically shows the world that we live in from the lives of the African American people who are trying to live in the land of the free, and yet are treated like second-class citizens, which is honestly perfectly grasped in the line. No matter how loud we shout, they refuse to hear us, which is a rather haunting truth considering the protests for George Floyd have been going on for months and have only gotten minor gains, and the officers involved in the murder of Breonna Taylor were not only not charged with her death, but only charged for the shots they missed. Gen Z will look upon this movie in time and remember that this is the world that we live in, and hopefully will rise up to try and make it a better place when their time comes. Number 9, Blockers. Going from a socially relevant film to one that is something all Gen Zers fear, overbearing parents. In the world we live in now, it's never been easier for underage and irresponsible teenagers and young adults to get their hands on, well, just about anything and everything, even if their parents are watching over them. Blockers takes that fear and ratchets it up to 11. Basically, the parents of 3 girls realize that their daughters are trying to lose their virginity and decide to wage an all-out war, in a parental way of course, to try and stop them from doing just that. The movie is honestly about many things from both the kids' and the parents' perspective. From the teenagers, it's about learning to overcome peer pressure and doing their best to know when it's truly ready to be with someone, as well as admitting your orientation. As for the parents, it's just about trusting their kids while also making sure they know the truth on various matters. Yes, this is a very heavy-handed way of talking about a majorly crude comedy film, but there is a message if you look beyond the dumb jokes and parents trying to be hip. Number 8, Teen Spirit. Growing in Gen Z, there are a lot of shows that often inspire the generation to push to be something more, especially with the rise of shows like American Idol, The Voice, and more. And many feel that if they can just be found, they'll have a great shot of being famous. But that is a false reality in many aspects, as many successful singers will tell you that the music industry isn't just cutthroat, it's dangerous, which Teen Spirit shows. It stars Elle Fanning as a young singer who is trying to make her name on a singing competition and learns all the things that go into it, both good and bad. What really works here is that it keeps things grounded and realistic. It doesn't glorify anything and shows the raw and rather emotional performance of Elle Fanning as she conveys everything that her character goes through. Everyone wants to live the dream, but Teen Spirit perfectly shows that sometimes it's a much harder road than you might expect. Number 7, Me and Earl and the Dying Girl. First off, weird name, just had to get that out there. Now, we've all seen the stories from films and TV of a boy or a girl getting diagnosed with a terminal illness, and them finding love or true friendship through perseverance, love, and so on. But with Me and Earl and the Dying Girl, they really take this to a better level by showcasing not just comedy in the face of death, but a more realistic tone as things go bad and good and bad again for the two friends who are each trying to deal with the situation that they are dealt. Now, the film not only perfectly focuses on the main characters, but showcases the true horrors of having things like leukemia, isolation, not knowing who is being nice to you just because you have cancer, and of course, the fear of dying. It may be a typical romance in certain ways, but trust us when we say there is more depth than you think, and that is to be appreciated. Number 6. Booksmart. First glance, Booksmart is very much seen as the female version of Superbad, which is kind of poetic because of the fact that it stars Jonah Hill's sister, no joke. But what's really special about Booksmart is the fact that instead of just doing crazy antics and over-the-top comedy, it focuses on the friendships and loves of the characters and gives the characters layers that are beyond what many of these movies ever try to do. It's a story about breaking out of your shell and doing more than you think you can do. It's a story about friendship and being able to share everything with your best friend no matter what. Something many Gen Z kids honestly need to have.
Hand sanitizer, check. Chapstick, check. Mace, listen, it is very important that you keep the safety. Oh! The safety on! Don't touch your eye!
Number 5. The Edge of 17. The coming-of-age film is literally something that rewrites itself, generation to generation, and Edge of 17 is exactly that for Gen Z. Starring Haley Steinfeld, who plays a 17-year-old teenager who is everything you expect Gen Z to be, and yet she has a lot going on that you can't help but sympathize with. Not only does Haley portray the character perfectly, but she makes you care because of how she portrays the rather realistic scenarios that she goes through, even when it's just a questioning why a teacher is being so nice to you. Number 4. Dope. This movie got a lot of buzz when it came out, and arguably is one of the most famous films on this list. There's honestly a lot going on in this movie, but we will boil it down to a trio of kids finding themselves in precarious situations involving Bitcoin, drugs, and trying to reconcile their race in a world that isn't too forgiving of that. The movie perfectly blends drama and comedy in a way that makes it an irresistible watch, not the least of which is because of its main character, who looks like he's from the past, but has knowledge that makes him perfectly Gen Z.
You can call me N-word, and I can't say it.
Technically, he shouldn't be able to say the word. Why can he use it?
Because I'm 14% African. Ancestry.com.
Look, just say the damn word. You're my...
It was a reflex.
Number 3. Spider-Man Homecoming. What, you thought we could do a list like this without having a superhero film? Come on, man. Anyway, Spider-Man Homecoming was honestly a perfectly modern Gen Z superhero film starring an actual Gen Zer and Tom Holland. What really separates this one from the previous 2 Spider-Man film series, the Sam Raimi trilogy and the 2 Amazing Spider-Man films, is that it honestly shows a meek and downright geeky Peter Parker, trying to solve things like asking a girl out, trying to be a hero when you think no one takes you seriously, being available at school, and so on. There is a reason that many people think this is one of the best MCU films ever. It's realistic in its depiction of the students, and it doesn't hold back the drama of being a teenager in a world that is anything but normal.
Forget the flying monster guy. There are people who handle this sort of thing.
I'm sick of him treating me like a kid all the time.
But you are a kid.
This is my chance to prove myself.
Number 2. Love, Simon. Especially in our world right now, the LGBTQ+ community needs to be represented accurately and fairly in all walks of media, which is why Love, Simon is so special. It was honestly the first major Hollywood film to focus on a gay teenager coming out to his parents and the world, and they worked on making everything feel real, poignant, and yes, lovely. Watching Simon struggle with coming out to his parents, finding his true love via Blue, and then meeting Blue and realizing it was everything he could have wanted was a touching thing, and a perfect message for all who are struggling that though it can be hard, you can make it through and find someone who loves you back no matter your orientation. Number 1. 8th Grade. Yeah, don't forget, not all films are about older teenagers, some are about younger ones, and for all generations, one of the hardest things to do is transition from grade school to middle school to high school, which is what 8th Grade focuses on. It's about a young girl who can speak her mind in text or on a webcam, but cannot voice herself well when doing real human interactions. The struggle to go and be better is hard to watch, and the film does beat down the protagonist at times, but it's all for delivering a powerful message about being who you are and not letting the world change you. So what do you think? What do you think of this look at some of the best movies that came out of the Gen Z generation of films? Were you surprised by the ones that honestly made the list? Have you seen any of these films? And if so, which ones did you like the best? Do you know of any other films that perfectly fit on this list? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the channel.